Hey everyone, we are moving into the chapter on reflections of meaning, interpretation, and reframing. Just a quick note, you all should see some feedback from me about your videos, your first video. Everybody did just fine. I had no glaring issues or problems. So, if you're bummed because of a grade, please don't be, right? This is the first time you're videotaping yourself. I understood fully there was a level of discomfort with that. Uneasiness, for one, you may have not ever recorded yourself in that awkward type of situation where you're conducting a first-time interview counseling session with somebody that presumably you know. So I understand there were nerves behind everything. Also, none of you are kind of, the next Freud to come out of the, maybe I should say Freud even started at the bottom, right? So everybody has to learn to develop their own skills, their own style of conducting a therapeutic session, a counseling session. So please don't be deterred by a grade if it wasn't a 10 out of 10. So, there's room for improvement, right? That's the point of this class. There's room for improvement. So it was a baseline video. What's interesting to me is to see, because I'm teaching a practicum class this semester and they have to do videos in practicum as well, as will you. So it's interesting to see where, to remind myself of where students start in 501 with that first video to where they progress to in practicum. So just, maybe hold on to that first video and compare it to yourself a year down the road and see how much you've improved. So again, there's feedback should be up, grades should be up on all of those. If not, let me know. Probably clicked some button wrong and I need to know about it. So send me an email and let me know. I've also opened up, so we have spring break next week. Take some time, relax, enjoy significant others, your family, friends, the outdoors, whatever it might be that you enjoy, staying inside and not getting sick. I went ahead and opened up the immersion week content as well. Mainly it's just PowerPoints because the work that we're doing is going to be within kind of a more traditional like classroom setting, even though it's in a hotel. And so I will have some activities for everybody to participate in, but I wanted to give you access to the PowerPoint so you can have them. You all should have the general information for the week. You will be provided with an agenda Monday morning. That's, about it. Come prepared to engage in discussions and with each other in role plays. Lots of role plays in the immersion week. Lots of listening to me talk. So I'm not going to talk too long today, but I did just want to kind of review the chapter and how we are looking at interpretation, reflecting meaning. And so we're getting deeper, right? We're getting deeper with our reflections and our interpretations of what our client is saying to us at this point in the skill development pyramid, right? And then reframing as well. And it's so important to start developing skills to reframe, because reframing oftentimes is done whenever a client is making a statement to us that is a negative reflection of themselves or an event or of an interaction that they might have had. And because we're working from a strength-based perspective as counselors, reframing allows us to take some of those statements that a client might be saying that, I'm a terrible procrastinator and, I really handled the situation badly because I got mad about it, and say to a client, well, within the procrastination, it sounds like you're taking more time to really think about what your next steps are going to be so that you're prepared to just to complete the task right when you're ready to sit down and do it. Or, oh, you got angry in this situation. That's showing me that you're able to reflect on your feelings and your emotions, and you're able to recognize them, which is a step towards the progression of whatever the goal is, right? So reframing can really help a client understand that some of the things that they're perceiving in a negative light it's a mental shift essentially, so they can start thinking it in a more positive light. Now, when we think about reflection of meaning, okay, and interpretation. So interpretation you hear a lot about when we're talking about psychoanalytic theory, right? And so you can think of interpretations as, the therapist, the all-knowing therapist, interpreting meaning on behalf of their client that's sitting on a couch and has been in session for 5+ years, okay? So, but in modern days, even in psychoanalytic, postmodern psychoanalytic theory, interpretations are done very carefully, and they are done once a good, solid therapeutic foundation has been built up between the counselor and the client. So once you have a good idea of why the client is sitting with you, you have concrete or semi-concrete goals outlined as part of your treatment plan. You have that working relationship, and once you have an understanding that you really have a good grasp on the situation, on the history of the client, the background, and that the client, you can tell within the client that the client's a bit curious now to get a little bit deeper, right? Because reflection of meaning and kind of interpreting to a deeper level what a client might be saying to us can be difficult for a client to hear. You also, as a counselor, have to be ready to hear a client say to you, wow, you really got that one wrong, if you're interpreting meaning on behalf of a client, okay? It's really kind of like a working hypothesis. You might think that the biggest issue that the client is having is because of their childhood, and then at some point you're going to interpret, they're going to provide an interpretation that connects their childhood in a dysfunctional family with their inability to maintain a healthy relationship with their own child. And so you might kind of connect those two things together, and your client might say, well, you really got that wrong. The dysfunction in my family growing up wasn't the biggest issue. There was another thing that came along in the middle, and that's what really the issue is now. So you have to be ready to just have your hypothesis thrown out the window. But it allows us to help reflection of meaning, so getting a little bit deeper in what is underlying a client's life experiences, what's underlying their behaviors when they're working with you, can really help pull the relationship to the next level. It can help a client really get to a deeper understanding of why their behaviors are what they are, why their reactions to things are what they are. So a lot can be done when we get an interpretation right, okay? Another way to do it is just to kind of put it in our client's hands to say, it seems like there's something a little bit deeper going on. Maybe there's a connection to the past. What is your interpretation of the meaning behind all of this? So we can put it on our clients to do that work themselves too, right? We should never be working harder than our clients, despite whatever organization you're working for, private practice, agency, public, private, doesn't matter. We should never be working harder than our clients. So, it is part of their job to be working on themselves and so that they can eventually be able to leave our office, and address or deal with some of the issues independently without our assistance, right? I like some of the videos that I put up in the module this week. One of them specifically talks about, I believe, reframing and meaning, and it comes from somebody that's got a background in communication. So it's a little outside of the counseling realm, but I think it's completely applicable to what we're talking about today, reframing, how to change meaning to create change. And so I think that's a really impactful, short little video there. She makes the point in the video that everybody has to attribute meaning to aspects of their life. So even if a client is saying to you, yeah, it doesn't matter to me that this thing happened, there's still some meaning behind. We have to. Our brains are hardwired to create meaning around even the minute things that happen to us on a day-to-day basis. And so that has to be an important part of our work as a counselor. And also, you're going to get a little view into Aaron Beck with the cognitive restructuring in CBT. So, Aaron Beck is a great person to listen to. He always makes me feel very much so at ease. So with that, I'm going to leave you all to the rest of the module. The discussion, really, I want you to think about interpretation and reframing, what it means to you, some examples from your own life where you think being able to interpret that event in a different way, or reframe a thought pattern in a different way could have reshaped that experience for you or changed that experience. It's important to consider culture and the way that we interpret events, right? And we have to consider how consider whether or not we have enough of an understanding of a client's culture when their culture is different than ours, if we have enough of an understanding of what their culture is and what it means to them to provide an accurate interpretation of an event, okay? And I kind of just provided you with an answer to the discussion board there, but nevertheless. So I hope you all enjoy the rest of the module and enjoy your spring break, and we will see you on the bright and early 9 o'clock a.m. After spring break for your immersion experience, okay?